Hello, yes. Welcome back to the Little Res podcast, also known as the Reuniting Exceptionally Soon podcast. It is 75 degrees outside and partially cloudy, which is like not very cloudy. We're back with an actual real-time episode that we didn't have to record in advance, which I'm very excited for because the banqueting
Woo!
is now over finally. And I'm not sick. Well, I'm a little bit sick, but I'm not as sick as I was last week. But yeah, no hat of the day. Here's the gnocchi of the day. How are you doing today, Richard?
I'm good. Have you considered subscribing to r/nohat? They say if you don't wear a hat for like at least a month, you start to like take in auras and
Yeah,
like
yeah. Your
you
hair
just
grows
like you
back.
get yeah.
No hat. That's so good.
Sorry, I couldn't resist
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
said no hat. I'm like, I'm good. It's cloudy and rainy out. It's actually just starting to rain.
Mhm.
For the past 2 weeks, it was like highs of like 100. We were actually one of the hottest spots in America. It was like
Mhm. Mhm.
110 degrees or something like that. It was crazy. Plus humidity. And now it's been raining every night, which is the summer that I'm used to. During the day, it's fine. Sometimes you get random intermittent, like tropical S storms, but almost every time it cools down at night, which is nice.
Mm.
So I get to see lightning pretty much every night before I go to bed. And it's so far away that I don't even hear it. You just get to see flashes in the distance. It's honestly best
Yeah.
case.
It is kind of nice when there's like lightning at night.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's
No,
just cool.
it is. And without the sound too, I don't like have to worry about other people's dogs barking or anything like that.
Mm.
It's all good vibes. Yeah, how are you? You recently got back from
Yeah, yeah.
an expedition?
Yeah. I was in Indonesia visiting family for 2 weeks. We had like a family reunion. Plus, I was like seeing other family members. The family reunion was huge. There were over 140 people. Um,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's pretty crazy because it's like what is it? Great, two greats. I think it's two great grandparents up, maybe one more, but I think two greats up. And my grandpa has a lot of siblings. The family tree was like literally like 20 feet long or something.
No. At that point, that's a family
Yeah, because
forest.
they
You're
like
in
printed it
like a
out.
family
Yeah,
forest.
it's
That's
pretty
crazy.
sick. Yeah, that was fun. What are the highlights? It was pretty cool. Food was good. Lots of satay, which is just meat on a stick. Lots of fruits. That's the main thing actually. Is like when you're in Southeast Asia, when you're in a tropical area, the fruit is so abundant and there's so much fruit that you can't
Mm.
get elsewhere. Like before we went, my girlfriend was like, "Oh, what food do your parents eat when they're in Indonesia?" And I was like, "Oh, like fruit, I guess." And she was like, "No, but like what do they eat?" And I was like, Honestly, the only thing that comes to mind in particular is fruit." And then we get to Indonesia, and basically the only consistency in what my parents eat is they eat like a ton of fruit, and then every other meal is just like random stuff. There's no consistency there. I remember being so validated because I was like, "Look, that's the thing. It's fruit." Because yeah, they got dragon fruit, sour sop, mangosteen,
The
uh,
mangosteens are so good. Oh my
coconut,
goodness.
pineapple. I don't know, just like all kinds of tropical fruits. And like, because I was like looking like, okay, you want to like import mangosteen to the U.S. It's like you're paying like 25 a head, and mangosteen is like a small piece of fruit, and it's just like dirt cheap and abundant in Indonesia. So yeah, fruit was good.
The
Also the
markup is
fiber.
insane.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. You're just importing something that's just not. I feel like you could grow a lot of these in Florida, but maybe not.
Florida, maybe. Yeah, but
Um,
even then, you'd have to convince the American population that mangosteen is a good fruit, and
yeah,
I feel
that's
like it's
true.
too fussy of a fruit for most people to eat. Like, you have to like each mangosteen has like a little core in the middle of
Yeah,
it.
there's a
Like,
couple
it's
steps to it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So there's some barriers to entry. But I'm
yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I interrupted you.
But yeah, fruit was good. I had my Southeast Asian McDonald's. I had the McSpicy. I don't understand why every country in the world but the United States has the McSpicy. Like I was looking into it. It's like I thought it was just a Southeast Asia thing. It's like in so many other countries. Like random Nordic countries have it. It's in Europe. It's in Australia. Um, the McSpicy is just the superior McDonald's chicken sandwich, and they can make it in the U.S. because I've gotten a McSpicy equivalent at the International Chicago International McDonald's in Chicago, and it tasted like the one you get overseas. There's nothing preventing them from making it here. I don't know why they won't make it here. It's just a much better chicken sandwich. Um,
It's also literally
yeah.
just like it can ship so easily. It's just a frozen
Yeah,
disc
it's a
of breaded
frozen
chicken.
patty. I don't know the deal, but yeah. Oh, dude, and then the fucking mac and cheeseburger. It's just like a burger patty and then like a fried mac and cheese patty on like a black charcoal bun because they really like black charcoal buns. Oh, Gnocchi's right down there, playing with a little toy.
Maybe
Um,
she'll make an appearance.
yeah, we'll see. But the mac and cheeseburger was like it looked so janky and like nothing like the promotional photos, but it tasted so much better than it had any right to be. I really
You know
enjoyed
how they
that.
make
Yeah.
like rice? You know how they make like fried rice patty burgers?
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I had one of those.
I
But yeah, go on, go on. I'll finish my thought after you're done.
Oh no, you're good. I was just saying like you could probably deep fry a disc of mac and cheese for the top and bottom bun and just skip out on the black charcoal entirely.
Yeah, do like a KFC double down style mac and
Yeah,
cheeseburger.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went to because we had a layover in Taipei, and they have a Moss Burger in Taipei, which is basically like kind of like a breakfast burger type of place. That's the impression I get. Moss Burger seems breakfasty. Plus like lunch and stuff. I mean, you could have it for any meal, but they like serve like tea and coffee with a lot of their stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I got like a burger that was like rice patties instead of buns, and then the burger and everything. And that was quite good too.
I really love the texture of biting into like a rice patty, and I think that stuff is really good. But one of the issues is if it's like a juicy burger, it starts melting the stuff that binds the rice
Oh
together.
yeah, yeah.
And if I'm not able to, if I'm afraid of putting down my burger, that hurts the burger experience for me. Because
Mm.
certain burgers, once you take a bite, the whole thing just falls apart. And the only way I'm okay with rectifying this issue is if they're wrapping it up in like that like butcher paper so I can like set it down and it has an outside force keeping it
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah. I feel like that's common for a lot of burgers. It's like the burger that you have to finish once you've picked it up, or else it's a
Yeah.
disaster when you put it back down.
And
Um,
then I'm
yeah.
eating with anxiety, and that's not a good recipe for my enjoyment. I want to be able to just take like a huge bite and just like spend a minute just chewing on like meat and just being in little like fatty
Yeah,
beef heaven.
you gotta alternate. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like weird when you have to like have it in one hand and like eat fries with the other hand or something. I don't know. I do honestly though, I have kind of like resigned to the idea of like most burgers I'm gonna have to eat in one go. That's like the standard. And then like the
Yeah.
leftovers, if I have them, I'm just eating with a fork at home. Like I'm not even gonna try and eat it like a sandwich.
Oh, you'll my culinary Frankenstein thing I did the other day
Uh-huh.
was I took down I went to this burger spot where I could buy I think it was like a 3/4 pound burger, and I got it with fries, and I also treated myself to a full sugar soda, which I drank like a whole thing of
Uh-huh.
before like going up again, so I was already like kind of full. And the burger, as expected, fell apart because I ate it slowly and it got like juice got everywhere. So what I did was with the leftover fries, I air fried them And then I chopped the burger up into pieces and I made like burger loaded fries and I added some extra like mozzarella
That sounds
cheese
pretty
and green
sick.
onions. It was so good. And I'm becoming a loaded fry enjoyer
Dude,
in
you could
my
do that with a
later
fresh
years.
burger too. Like, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
like heretical or not, but like just order burger and fries and then carefully segment the burger into like chunks for the I don't know, maybe we try it out when I'm over.
Oh yeah, we could absolutely do that. Yeah, loaded cheeseburger fries, I'm certain are definitely a thing that you can get in places. I think the move is to do it like if you're doing it burger style fries, you got to do it like animal style, you know, with the with
Mm-hmm.
the caramelized onions and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, so good.
Oh man, I'm so down. Oof, oof. Because I'm gonna be over at Richard's place this weekend, and that next week episode will be the IRL face reveal episode. And Richard, if you guys haven't picked it up, is a culinary fiend, and I am so excited to eat Richard's food.
We're gonna
Oh my
munch.
God, we're gonna munch so hard. And you're one of those people who loves to cook for other people, so I feel like I'm doing you a favor almost by letting you make me food.
It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love sharing experiences, and food is an experience. And I live by myself. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I I would legitimately contemplate cooking. Cooking for a stranger is a bit much, but I would cook for like an acquaintance if it meant like being able to like share a meal with someone.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm a big YouTuber during food because I like having the presence of like another person there. Just feels less like weird than just staring at I don't know, just eating alone in silence. Doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that'll be fun. Maybe we'll have something to snack on during the pod. That'd be kind of interesting and fun. Or maybe just a distraction. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
I was thinking
Oh,
because the other day we worked together to get you to make really to make some
yeah, we
pancakes.
made some
We could
pancakes.
it'd be fun too to do like when you're back home as well. We could do like virtual like how to cook like
Dude, that's
new
not a bad idea,
blur-
honestly. You're very good at guiding through the mechanics of like what we're making. Because there's like different tiers of like cooking knowledge, and I don't know exactly what they are, but you're on whatever tier it is where you know why certain things will turn out in certain ways. And so you can give
Mhm.
like the more ad hoc, like tailored advice for like, oh, if you want this type of effect, you need to do these things. Like this is why this is crispy. This is why this is going to be crunchy. This is why this is like fluffy. You know how to make that happen. And so uh, that's why whenever I want to like reheat food or whatever, you always know what like attribute the food needs afterwards and how to properly accommodate that.
a a part of me gets so sad if I see people reheating food in like a suboptimal way
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, no, those fries could be crispy.
Yeah.
Don't microwave them.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
I get it though,
Yeah, yeah.
because like food for me is sustenance a lot of the time too. But I don't know. I think my enjoyment outweighs my like sustenance
Yeah, I think you have
in
a
regards to
high level
that.
of integrity when it comes to food. Um,
Exactly.
okay, quick. I'm gonna segue here, but you got a
Yeah, let's do it.
haircut recently at a certain establishment that we kind of incidentally, coincidentally, maybe have we've been saving this conversation for a pod that maybe we align on this. So where did you get your haircut, Richard?
I went to this little mom and pop haircut chain nationwide called Sports Clips.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I got the MVP fan experience.
Is that what I remember? They
uh,
tiers have names. Is that what yours was called? MVP fan experience, something
It
like
was
that.
something like that, and it was
Yeah.
only because I actually today earlier today I donated blood, but I donated blood, and they almost always give you little perks and rewards,
Right, right.
and one of them was just a free haircut at Sports Clips, and I'm like, I never go to Sports Clips, and this is gonna be a bad choice, but it's a free haircut,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so I don't have a complex hair at all. I'm just like light fade on the sides and leave like an inch on the top so I can style it. And they did not do an amazing job with that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh man, I don't know why I wrote this down. Well, so when I was in Indonesia, I was planning to get a haircut because whenever I'm in Southeast Asia, I get pretty good haircuts. They know how to handle my half Asian hair. But logistically, it ended up not being possible. And I think I wrote this down because I was thinking, oh, I need a haircut, and then I remembered. What was it? I think this was almost 10 years ago when I went to Sports Clip for the first and only time in my life. I believe it was when I was 18. I just remember I needed a haircut for some reason, and I needed it quickly. Like there was like an event or something maybe where I needed to be tidied up, and the closest place was Sports Clips. And I was like, well, sure, we'll go to Sports Clips. I need a haircut.
To this point, you could replace haircut with hunger and Sports Clips with gas station sushi, and like the results would sound pretty similar.
So I go to Sports Clips, and like, I don't know, you go in there. I'd never ever been to Sports Clips before, which is weird because I've heard of it. Obviously, most people have heard of Sports Clips.
Right.
They're like all over the place, and I was just like, the sports was so intense immediately upon walking in. Like you walk into the lobby and there's like 4 TVs all playing different sports, which is fine. Like that's fine, but it's a little bit. You're kind of confused because you're just here for a haircut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like they're like sports, and then
all the chairs, at least in my location, looked like stadium seats too.
Yes, they had fucking stadium seating. And I don't know if this is still a thing. All of the hairdressers were wearing like referee uniforms. Was that the case when you went?
Yep. That was the case for me too.
They're like cosplaying sports. And I think I might be making this one up. This might be BS, but I swear there was like turf somewhere too on the ground.
No, I literally when you walked into Sports Cuts, the first thing I thought of was like I pictured turf. There's definitely like decorative strips of turf on the
there was
ground
like turf
or
on
like
the ground.
the wall.
Oh my god. And it's just and all the like promotional material and everything was just like you're saying, it's like, oh, you want the MVP experience or whatever. I remember there was like by default they washed your hair like even at the cheapest package. I don't know if that was the case where you went. But I just remember like the cheapest haircut included like a hair wash thing, and I remember even that having like its own sportified name, like some, I don't know, I'm making this one up at too, but like it'd be like, you know, athletes rinse or something. like fellas, is it gay to wash your hair? Like like I just couldn't, I don't know, the whole thing. And then I remember when I went to go get my haircut, the hairdresser, she had to like, I swear she had to like read off or like say this like sports themed copy language to me to like maintain the kayfabe of the sport experience. And I remember being like, hey, like, it's cool. You don't need to be all sports about this. And she seemed like kind of like humored by the fact that like I was clearly uncomfortable with how intensely sports they were. And I fucking like sports. I'm not one of these people who's like, oh, sports are lame. Sports are so, I like sports. But I was just like, basically the crux of this whole thing comes down to the fact that I felt like they were treating me like a baby. I felt like they were coddling me and trying to preserve, like, it's like they were assuming I had like the thinnest veil of like masculinity possible that had to be preserved at all costs. That's how I felt like I was being treated. And that made me feel so insulted the entire time. And I don't blame anyone in particular there. They're just doing their jobs. But I was like, man, it feels like you think that I'm going to start crying if you like offer me product or something because it like offends like my masculinity. But yeah, what is your experience, Rich? Because it made me never, ever, ever want to go back to Sports Clips.
Yeah, pretty much the exact same as you. It reminds me of like when you see like Twitch advertisers trying to appeal to gamers, like
Dude,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, but like for normies. um, yeah, I walked in and it was same thing. Four TVs on the wall, different like games were playing. The specials were written on like a chalkboard that had X's and O's
Mm.
around it. Not the specials, but just like the regular
Yeah, yeah,
pricing.
yeah.
It it felt like they were trying to appeal to like just an overgrown to either an overgrown child or an actual child that is afraid of getting their haircut
Yeah,
because they
yeah.
don't like it. So it's like, ah, no, this is sports,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah,
That there was chrome everywhere, but I mean that's common for barbershops. But yeah, it was just disappointing.
yeah.
I walked inside and I was like, I couldn't just. It's like when we watch, and you and me, we're pretty disconnected because we don't subscribe to like, we're cable cutters, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when we watch like sports games occasionally, and we get those commercials, they're like, "Hey, like for like we both like the Mariners." They're like, "Hey, Mariners fans,
Yeah,
do you
yeah,
want
yeah.
to get the true game experience?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
do
yeah.
you love baseball? Like,
That's true.
it's like,
Yeah.
oh my
Or like
gosh,
the
like,
basketball ads. Oh man, I've talked about this
oh
ad
yeah,
so much. The fucking X chair is like my one of my favorite ads of all time. It's basically just like a workbench with wheels on it that lets you slide around, but like it's called the X chair, and the entire ad is like it's just guys like rolling from one place to another place to like reach tools, but the like music's like "Brr-dur-dur," and the like narrator's like get the X chair, like revolution, like it's like very like this is a hardcore product. It's like, guys, you can just call it like a chair with wheels on it. If it's a good product, that's cool. But they're like X chair. Yeah, it's very sports
yeah.
coded branding.
I'm happy that you had a similar experience as I did.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the part that also made it like objectively the worst was, or this was just a location thing for me, but they wouldn't. So I called ahead and I was like, hey, just curious, do you guys honor this Red Cross like
Yeah,
promo
yeah.
thing? And they're like, oh yeah, of course we do. And so after I've gotten my haircut, I show them the coupon, and they're like, oh, we don't take this. We don't even have a button for this. And
Oh,
I'm like, no,
what?
I called, and someone
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
And so she goes and checks with the lady in the back, and the lady's like, oh yeah, I said they could because they said like nationwide they said we had to honor this, and the lady's like, oh no, but we're not doing that. And so I'm looking at her and I'm like, so can I like go? Like, and she's like, no, you'll have to pay. And I'm like, but I called. Like, what?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
She's like, let me see your phone. And so I hand it to her, and then she like gets on the call with like she tries to call the franchise owner for like 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, and never 5 minutes go by. She's had my phone for 10 minutes, so like I can't leave. And I'm debating in my head, I'm like, do I just ask for my phone and walk
Yeah,
out?
yeah.
And I don't, I stick around, but it ends up being 15 minutes
Oh
of
my
me being
gosh.
without my phone while they try and figure it out. And in the end, they still didn't. They're like, yeah, like you got lucky. And I'm like, how?
What do
How
you
did
mean
I
I
get
got
lucky?
lucky? I literally, yeah.
You gave me explicit permission that I could use this coupon here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was
Dude.
just like, this is just the icing on the cake. Oh, and my haircut was also just not good.
Yeah,
It
mine was
was one of
also
those
so
things.
it's just whatever when I got mine.
It was so phoned in. And they were like, oh, do you need any changes or fixes? And I was debating all the areas I could call out, but I'm like, no, it looks good.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
it's a free haircut. It gives me an extra 2 weeks before I need to get it fixed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Like, but oh man, no, sports cuts never again. Although if I get another free haircut, I will go
You
back.
will go back.
I'm,
Even are you
I
willing to
will.
tank another like 15 minutes of like logistical issues? Would that if that was guaranteed, would you still go?
I mean, they washed and shampooed my hair. Like, so when I got home and showered, I didn't have like loose hair everywhere.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
gave me I got the sports fan package, man. So if I can get the sports fan package again, I'll go back. Maybe I'll even like time it with like when a game's on.
That's not the worst idea, I guess. It'll be on.
But I would never recommend it to anyone. And
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
like leaving low reviews at places.
Yeah,
But my
same.
experience there was just objectively so poor. I wanted to like write out a review, but I'm like, no, it's a free
I
haircut. So
know.
I just left. I left a 3-star review with no comment, and that was it. And I'm like, this is
Mm-mm.
as mean as I can possibly let myself be.
3 feels pretty intense, but it makes sense. The thing is that like review sites also like if you they like normalize your review scale in like the weighting often. So
Yeah.
like if you only give like 4 or 5 star reviews, those are worth less than like a normal 4 or 5 star review. Like
Mm,
Yelp definitely does this. I'm assuming this is pretty standard across a lot of platforms because you need to adjust to different people's scales, right? Like someone who's always dropping
yeah.
one bombs is not, you can't treat that the same as somebody who only does it like one in every 50 reviews or something.
Man,
But yeah,
I despise Yelp. I don't know if we've talked about this
I
or
don't like
not.
Yelp at all.
Um,
I don't like, yeah, I don't like rating people. Like I mean, I think there's value in it, but like, okay, I worked at Target when I was like 20 or 19 or something. And
mhm.
at Target, they explicitly told us that the hours that the store receives are directly tied to the average customer review rating of those like surveys that are at the bottom of the receipt. And so on
Uh,
weeks when the review dropped, they're like, "Hey, we're cutting hours because our review rating dropped." Like which is like that, and I didn't need those hours, but I knew
yeah.
people working at that Target who needed those hours, partially to like maintain like their minimum hours so they can get benefits, partially just because they need to make money to like support their family. and and
Yeah.
ever since that I was like, I can't comfortably give a review that might directly affect somebody's livelihood. That's just
Yep.
too messed
Yep.
up. Like I can't bring
Yep.
myself to it. Even when a legitimate grievance has happened, I'm like,
Yep.
I'm fine, and I think if other people experience this, they would be fine. Versus like, imagine your like health insurance gets put at risk because somebody left, a 1 star review. It's not gonna exactly boil down to that, but that's the contributing factor. I just hated that so
Yeah.
much. Um, and so I can't, and like, or if I like don't get a product or something, I'm not comfortable saying like I didn't get it or asking for a refund and stuff because I think that is likely to also directly impact employees and stuff. I don't know, but
Hmm.
it's fucking sucks too because those are also things people should know about, right? They are things that are not invalid. It's just I think the business shouldn't be directly punishing the workers for it, but they seem to do that a lot of the time as like the way to disincentivize it. I don't know. Um, bad vibes.
It's yeah.
Bad
It's
vibes.
it's all bad vibes, and that's why like the lowest review I will ever leave is a 3-star. And most of the times, if I have a negative experience, I won't leave anything.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, holding my phone hostage for like
Oh yeah, I
15
mean that's
minutes
like
or
yeah, I
like
think 3 is fair, and 3 is not gonna ruin anybody's life or anything. But like,
yeah, yeah.
oh man, I just
But it was like if I see like a 3-star no review at a location, it would give me pause, and I wanted to
yeah,
give other people like at least
yeah.
some pause before they saw
Give
this
them give them
location
give them a
and
little thinker.
considered yeah before they considered giving their hard-earned money to um s- sports cuts,
Yes, yes.
sports clips,
Source clips,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ugh,
yeah.
not great.
Oh, this is sports clips for it. Okay, well we have a
Sometimes
okay. No, you
sorry,
go, you
just
go.
one final thought. I, as someone like you, we kind of grew up not always following a ton of like all the. I'm not saying we were hipster. I mean, well, you were pretty
I
hipster.
was
You
pretty
took pride in
hipster,
being
yeah.
hipster. Yeah. But as someone that also, honestly, I probably took a little bit of pride in being hipster too.
I think as a
Probably
teenager it's
annoying about it.
hard not to get on a high horse about like
Yeah.
enjoying niche things.
But it is funny when you've like kind of just from your teenage years or just out of force of habit, you just haven't done something mainstream. Like for
Mhm.
example, sports cuts or like watch TV commercials. And then you stumble upon them and you're like, there's an entire untapped amount of just like ridiculousness here that like because you're only seeing it for the first time with your adult eyes, you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
what the fuck am I looking at? Like, what is
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this?
yeah. No, that's definitely a
In
real
sports
thing.
cuts, that was an experience. I was like, oh, so this is what it's like to be a part of the lowest common denominator. This is wild.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, there's something. Okay, I have like a some segue here somewhere, but like there's something weird about like this lowest common denominator thing in like media and services and experiences and in the mainstream, where it's like, yes, this represents a person, but almost in a weird way, it doesn't represent any particular person at all, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, if
yeah. You
you,
all
yeah,
from your yo-yo video, Joe Baseball doesn't actually look like anyone.
yeah, Joe Baseball is nobody, even though Joe Baseball is everybody. Um,
Everybody, yeah,
and it's like, yeah, you can't really. It's like if I think where I'm trying to get at is if you try and boil down like people to these like means, these like greater means, these like general blobs of existence, you're always going to get like a caricature person who like yeah, statistically they're the average person, but like functionally they don't truly represent the average person because there's multitudes to every human
yeah,
being, including the like modal average person, but those multitudes will just be like brushed over and glossed away when you look at people through the means. But like, because like you see this average voter thing, election cycles coming up, politics is very hot in the meta right now. And people love to do this thing where they go, oh, this is the average voter. This is why you should hate the average person. And it's like, I guess maybe. But if I actually talk to the modal voter or the most typical median voter, there would be more to them than this like overly distilled image of that person. And so
yeah,
that's why I'm like I don't like that's why I don't like reducing people to that. But the weird thing is that like if you're trying to cater to a person, you have to cater to the blob and not to any particular person. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like if you let
yeah,
Sports
yeah,
Clip dictate what you think people are like, you think people are like a fucking like a Wally type of person, or like some kind of dystopian lifeless person who just is stimulus in, experience out, or whatever. But that's not really true. I've never met a person like that in my life, and you have to imagine I've met an average person at some point in my life, but yet
yeah.
never that blob person.
Well, and that's the funny thing too is you hear this a lot from Europeans that visit America. They get this perception because of how we're
Yeah,
advertised and
yeah.
marketed to, which makes sense. I don't blame them, but they're like, man, Americans are like so X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, actually, like as a country, we're like legitimately one of the most diverse country.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
are
yeah.
like the most diverse country in the world. Like East Coast, West Coast, like Midwest America, South, like these are all you're going to get such a different perspective. And so these advertisers are out here just trying to like appeal to like the quote unquote American. And so when you go to
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Cheesecake Factory and you get like the big American burger, like no, not every person is going to like be like the big American. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just they have a wide they're in trying to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one.
Right, right. Yeah. It's not that like Cheesecake Factory is appealing to the one particular extremely common Cheesecake Factory enjoyer. It's that just a lot of different types of people can enjoy the Cheesecake Factory. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think the caricature of the person who likes the Cheesecake Factory is one of the more benign, funny ones. Like, Because when you go there, you immediately imagine them in your head. You're like looking through the menu and you're like, somebody really fucking likes this.
Yeah.
But you're there, you know what I mean? Like you're there.
Yeah,
You're that
no.
person.
Yeah. You're the average cheese.
Yeah, we are the average cheesecake like the delight and the absurdity is actually the modal cheesecake factory citizen.
It's like a riff on that poker quote or like the hustling quote. It's like if you look around the room and don't see like the idiot and like when you're playing the card game, like you're that one. If you look around the Cheesecake Factory and you don't see any average people, you're the
You're
average
the
person.
average people. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, this is part of my tirade against misanthropy, against hate of your fellow human being, because I just okay. We'll segue into the four horses right now. And we
Okay.
might even rehash this in future episodes. But I have this working theory that there are four types of people you see on the internet who represent a misanthropic view, basically a hate for humanity, who are very widely represented in like negative stuff.
Oh, and Harrison,
Yeah, yeah.
before you go on, can you does it we were talking about this the other day. Misanthropy literally directly translates to
I don't
what
know
was
if
it
it's
again? Do you
translates,
remember?
but it basically means like a hate for humanity, a dislike for people. Um,
Oh yeah, okay. I looked up the definition and it's so edgy. It's just a dislike of humankind.
Yeah, a
Dot.
dislike for
Period.
humankind. And I think misanthropy is very popular right now. I think it's also been very popular historically. I think this is the natural effect of like having a negativity bias. You just when you think of people, you think more about negative things about people than you think about positive things about people, and then you conclude, oh, the average person sucks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's especially bad on the internet. I think the internet there's no way around it. The internet gives us a worse impression of humanity. And I think this comes down to four different types of people. This is not a rigorous definition or anything. I think I just like the number four because you can call them the four horsemen of social media.
It's a working theory.
Yeah. So the first one is, and some of these we referenced on the pod, I think, but the first one is yum yuckers. It's when you yuck someone's yum. A yum yucker is someone who cannot handle the idea of somebody liking something that they don't. And I'm gonna armchair psychology here, but I think when you see a yum yucker, what's happening is is basically a person's inability to relate to an experience, and because of that inability to relate, those people reflexively feel a sense of invalidation. Like if I hate Lucky Charms cereal, and then I read online a bunch of people going, "Woo, I love Lucky Charms cereal. Lucky Charms is awesome." I might see that and be like, "Wait, I can't relate to this positive emotion they're having. It makes me feel like it's wrong that I don't like Lucky Charms." And then I think
Yeah.
and then you lash out and you say, "Hey, stop making me feel invalidated. Lucky Charms sucks. I hate Lucky Charms. How could you possibly like Lucky Charms? It's disgusting." So those are yum
Yep.
yuckers. People you see this all the time. People who can't conceive of the fact of people liking something that they don't. What are you gonna say, Rich?
It's like a lack of sympathy, a lack of empathy, or just like an inflate or like a higher ego, all like can play
Yeah.
like a factor in yum yucking.
Yep. Okay.
And also,
Yeah.
I do think to an extent too, like many of us yum yuck
Oh,
without even
I
realizing
wanna
it. So like,
yeah.
there's benign yum yucking, and then there's like no self awareness yum yucking.
I want to say right out of the gate, I do all of these things or have done all of these things. I've done them in the past and I do them now, but I try not to express them outwardly because I don't want to contribute to this misanthropy out. Like I don't think we need more of it.
Yeah, because you have love for your help for your fellow human members.
Yes. I wrote about this in my did I write about it yesterday? I think in my Patreon, I'm doing daily writings now. I just did my first week of writings. I published them on Patreon last week. And one thing I talked about was like, I think that positivity is a muscle that you have to basically work, because it's harder to be
And
positive.
then in Four Horsemen 7:10 in the Book of Respite, Harrison stated.
Yeah. But it's just like if you don't go out of your way to try and find positive and be positive, you're gonna like not be able to access that as easily, because I think negativity bias makes it so it's easy to be negative and hard to be positive. Not that we can't enjoy things, not that we can't like things. It's not that it's hard to do that, but it's not like automatic. It's not default. It often is effortful. I think things that people are passionate about are also things people invested a lot of effort into most often. Um, but yeah, so yum yuckers. Number two, malice attributors. We've talked about this. I always forget. Hanlon's razor, I think it is. Occam's razor is just things are simple.
I'll look it up. I think it's Hanlon's razor.
Hanlon. Basically, don't attribute to malice what can be attributed to.
Yep, Hanlon's razor. You were right the first time.
Yeah. I don't know if it's attributed to stupidity or whatever, but I think it's more just like things that can be
never attribute to malice that which is adequately explained by stupidity.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, the stupidity is ironically kind of misanthropic. I think instead of stupidity, there's another version that just don't attribute to malice, which can be attributed to just, misunderstanding or incompetence or just confusion,
yeah, sure.
just like not knowing the entire picture.
I wonder if the quote would have been as popular if it hadn't said stupidity, though. Like all quotes gotta have like some riz.
I think the stupidity makes it more popular because then it lets you feel.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's
I agree.
That's what you're saying. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah, like people use purposefully exacerbatory language to like get a point across or whatever.
Yeah, or even like naivety would be a less charged a word that basically mean the same thing.
Oh, but that's too nuanced for a popular quote, so it's not gonna work. Sorry.
But yeah, malice attributors. These are very, very common online. It's exactly what it sounds like. I constantly see people who, when they're faced with a decision where they can either assume the best or assume the worst, very, very often, I would say most often, people assume the worst. This is super common on Reddit and Twitter, especially, in my experience. But like, it is almost shocking to me because there will be situations where the benefit of the doubt is not just plausible; it is exceedingly easy to imagine, right? Where it's like I can so easily see this person just getting confused or accidentally misspeaking in this situation, or like not even directly doing anything in particular at all that has malice, like where malice requires going out of your way to imagine a particular situation, like
it's like people will do 3 leaps of logic to get to
they'll
this
like jump through hoops
negative
to
view
find
in their head.
the negativity. But yeah, for some reason malice, and I think the psychology there is just I think it's that people like have experienced feeling burned, or they have an existing negative impression of people, and so for them it's easier to imagine somebody doing something like for the worse than not. I think the counterexample is, and maybe this doesn't generalize to all people, but I think this does apply to most people. If you think in your personal life, how many decisions on a day-to-day basis do I make which are malice fueled, where I'm trying to do something maliciously with negative intent, how many of those decisions do I make in a day? And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm a perfect person or something, but it's pretty easy for me to say the vast majority of the things I do are in earnest and not with malice. That's just an easier way to live your life. I think that's how most people live. And so if that's the case, how can you be attributing so many of what other people do to malice when most of the time they're probably not being malicious? I mean, I know these people exist. I know there are people who are very malicious, but I also think those same people usually have underlying reasons for why they behave that way. A lot of insecurity, a lot of, I don't know, just random reasons, a lot of fear, trauma from past experiences cause them to lash out or behave in
Hmm.
odd ways. But like just the typical person, it's like more work for them to be malicious than not be malicious. I feel it's
Right.
easier to just be yourself and do the thing that you already think by default normally. Yeah,
Yeah, agreed.
yeah.
All right, and then and yeah, so malice attributors just kind of like not fully sum it up, but it's just like I feel like if you're the type of person that tends to malice attribute, you might have a bit more of like a jaded worldview, or like you haven't had a lot of experience building up that positivity muscle, or you've just been really freaking hurt, which
Yeah. Which I
you know,
understand completely.
totally.
Um,
Everything is understandable because we were all teenagers once, and I feel like so much of this is like teenager behavior.
yeah. Well, okay. So the third one,
Oh, this one has my favorite name.
yeah. The third one, and this has the most tentative name too, but it's shit smell where you walkers. Which is derived from the saying, if it smells like shit everywhere you walk, check under your shoe. Um,
Such a good quote.
the idea I'm trying to get at here is basically these people, shit smell where you walkers, seem to have they everything always seems to be for reasons that aren't related to how they see the world or for their own perception. Like anything that doesn't fall under their paradigm is incorrect, is kind of how I see it. You could also call it maybe high horse, but it's not. I don't think it's a moralizing thing or like an ego thing. I think it's more, let me try and think of an example. um
To
uh
me, it to me,
yeah,
or could I share a quick
yeah.
one? It would be like someone that really struggles to like keep friends, for example. They're like, oh man, my friends always like ditch me, but like they don't. But maybe like the friends leave them because this person like is exhibiting like toxic behavior, will like bail on hangouts, etc.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like if every single friend in your life has bailed on you, either you're extraordinarily unlucky, or you're doing things that are influencing them to not want to spend
Yeah.
time with you.
So I think there's that on the personal front. And this is why I think the name, so I think that's, I agree with that. But I think there's also a more expansive aspect of this, which is like where
Mm.
like in terms of your worldview is constantly clashing with your experiences. So I guess like an example could be, there are like people where like feminism is always the problem for them. They can always find a reason why
Oh.
feminism is affecting their life negatively. Um, and it's like, at some point, is feminism actually the reason for all of your problems, right? I don't want to flip it and be like the same thing with like patriarchy, because I believe in patriarchy. um I don't know, I don't even know if I want to go in this direction or and like undermine, but it's I guess the corollary would be like a person who is so jaded about the world that they can't help but view things as like always feeling a sense of oppression and stuff, regardless of how legitimate it is. I don't know, I'm kind of tiptoeing around that side of things because I do think there's a lot more legitimacy there. But like a more benign example could also just be like or not benign, but like a lot of conspiratorial thinking kind of goes along similar routes, where it's like, first, there's always a reason why the way you view the world is fundamentally incompatible with everything else, which means that everything is always wrong. Is kind of how I
Yeah.
say it. Basically, like when you take on a worldview that is constantly drawing you to the conclusion that everything around you is wrong and there's always a problem everywhere. Um, it's like a person who can never be satisfied, because I don't think that the world is perfect, and I think there are a lot of bad things out there and stuff. But but if no one can agree on the exact nature of why those are the case, there's kind of a lot of hubris attached to thinking that you figured out exactly why everything is always bad and that you must see things that way. I don't know, this one is very shaky. I haven't worked out the definition super well, but I see it where they're not attributing malice, they're not yucking a yum, they just seem chronically disgruntled. Like
Yeah.
nothing can ever be right for them. And it's like something about how you're seeing the world or the people around you. You're just a person who's unwilling to look inside and see how their worldview, how they understand things, might affect what they're experiencing.
There's also a little bit of like, if you go out looking for problems, you'll literally always find them.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like that. I think it's like that. And I think sometimes I do, yeah, and like talking like sometimes I do feel that way where it's like, man, I feel like I can always find a reason why I can blame other things on stuff. Where I don't feel willing to just treat it like a skill issue. And to be fair, sometimes I should have to, but like I don't know. Yeah, this was weird, but I think it covers I added it because it covers a base that I noticed that these categories weren't covering. And finally, the last category, probably the most understandable of them all. The fourth horseman of social media is teenagers. it,
And this is like, this
yeah.
was the dichotomy shift for me. This, I think, was like one of the things that made the internet a lot more easier for me to
Yeah,
use,
yeah.
was learning to that like so much of the internet is teen.
Is
And,
teens,
and not
yeah.
even just teen anymore, but
Yeah.
like 9-year-olds.
Pre-teens, yeah, even younger.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy the degree of adolescence on the internet now. Because yeah, like teenagers exhibit these earlier things, but I think in general, I went through this. I think a lot of people I know went through this. When you're a teenager, you don't understand why you feel this way, but you just feel like the world is against you and humanity is against you. And that makes you so bitter and so uncharitable. And so when I see someone being nasty online who's a teenager, I'm like, okay, I can't even muster the care for this because I don't think you're gonna feel this way in 10 years. Or if you do, it's gonna be a different nature to it. That's not the same as how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. And there's this kind of like fifth category too. It's kind of shit smell where walkers are.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like for example, I remember you were like reading through a post and you saw this guy comment and you were like, "What is his deal?" And then you looked at his profile and he was like this alt-right guy that was like pushing like all sorts of conspiracies.
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, yeah, okay." It's pretty easy to completely like unlegitimize whatever he was just asserting.
Yeah, yeah. Because yeah, exactly. Yeah, these the way these labels have been useful is that whenever I see something online I don't like, I just go, "Oh, can I categorize this comment or post into one of these four groups?" And if I can, there's something about labeling it that makes me detach emotionally from what I'm seeing. Where I go,
Yeah.
"Oh, this is just the misanthropic behavior that has emerged from how the internet is structured, and this person is they're just expressing that in the way that people do. I don't know, something about it. I'm just like, I can't be upset if a teenager is being a teenager, or if someone's yum
Right.
yucking. It's like I don't know. Like, okay, they're a yum yucker. What am I gonna do about it? I'm not gonna convince them otherwise. That's like something for them to do. Like I'm sure this person can change. I'm not gonna be the person who does that right now. Um,
And sorry, I didn't mean
no,
to
no, no.
interrupt
You
you.
go on, go on.
Go on. I was gonna say maybe a critique of this classification and taxonomy could be, what about giving people the benefit of the doubt?
Right,
And
right.
to counter that, I would say there is so much negativity and pitfalls on the internet that I would rather mislabel people once every 100, once every 30. Even I would even be okay with once every 10 times, because the alternative of engaging and accepting that like someone is like doing this in good faith is just like not worth it. I guess, does that make
Yeah,
sense?
yeah.
Like,
And I think for me it's like it's almost meta, but like I don't malice attribute people doing these things. I think people do
yeah,
these
sure,
things
sure.
because of like they're their internalized misanthropy and like the way the system of the internet is set up for however they're interacting. Like, you ever see a person who just has made so many like Reddit posts or so many tweets in a day where they're just kind of like almost just they're just dropping how they feel onto the world. They're just plop, plop, plop.
Yeah.
They're just dropping their feelings. They're not trying to
Yeah.
rationally argue. And they will argue with people and stuff. But, like, I don't think that's a malicious act. I think that's like a person's strong desire to self-express for whatever reason that they're not being able to fulfill in other ways. That, like,
And
yeah.
just the intrinsic human desire for connection.
Yeah,
Too.
yeah. Like, I think they're just trying. Yeah, they're just trying to feel valid. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
validate it, but okay, whatever. You do your own thing. I hope you stop
Yeah.
doing it in the future. But I think like the circumstances of social media are gonna result. I think people do what's easy. I think we because of negativity bias, we it's easier to be negative. I think social media algorithms make it worse, but I think if you give social media algorithms that don't make it worse, people stop using social media as much, and social media companies don't want to do that, which I don't think is good. But I think it makes sense why it's the case, and I think it's a big uphill battle to combat that. It would require like government intervention or something, to stop something like that.
I was literally just thinking about this exact same thing because in the Washington Post today there is this article about how dating apps have gotten worse. Like you're
Right,
it's
right.
like you're not crazy. Dating apps have gotten like significantly worse because yeah, I was just thinking I'm like at some point are we gonna like have to like have government regulation on dating apps because
Yeah.
right now they're designed to keep you single and keep you unhappy. They will purposefully match you with people that like will like keep you like engaged and like string you along and keep you hoping.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you're like they're not incentivized to get you in a relationship.
Right, right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on in the Match Group companies. I don't even know if purposeful is the right word as much as like their algorithms incidentally are going to result in a worse experience. And
their algorithms are not incentivized to
yeah, yeah.
get you off of the
But
app
they're not
at the end of the day.
incentivized to improve the algorithm either. So
Yeah.
it's almost kind of like a what am I looking for? They're just I don't know. It's not good.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
does make me wonder though. Like I imagine EU would be the first country to
To do
step in
something.
because like
Yeah.
they've always been they're not ahead of the game. Everyone's forever behind because our law system is made up of a bunch of old people that don't get the internet.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember when EU implemented like GDPR and people I remember like at the time I was like pretty fresh out of like I think I was fresh out of university or something like that. Or maybe like a year or two working and they were like, "Oh my gosh, this is an impossible task." And now everyone just does it, and it has raised the standard of safety on the internet for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, hopefully, that same thing can happen with dating apps. I'm like becoming like pro, like I'm. I wasn't saying I was libertarian in high school. I was probably like always liberal, but like maybe like I've become even more and more pro regulation the older I get when I
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
like how many systematic like shortcomings that are not being addressed by capitalism are in our system.
Yeah, yeah. It's just I don't know. I think the ultimate stat is just like income inequality, which we will talk about in a future episode because I had some thoughts about income
Mm.
inequality. But as long as
It's suppressing the learning
yes,
renaissance,
yes.
which we'll have to cover in
Yes,
the
it
next.
really is, which is unfortunate. But the learning renaissance is also still happening. We'll talk about that next week. Um, it's
Beautiful.
actually fucking people have no idea how much further ahead we are in this generation when it comes to learning than we have been in past generations. Just as a teaser, modern thought on how learning works is decades old. And not like a lot of decades. It's like you can't go earlier than the 80s, and that's pretty early before you're like looking at outdated understanding of cognition and stuff. Like what? So like 20, 30, like 30 years old. That's how like old academic understanding of learning is. And academic thought takes a long time to propagate into the mainstream. So our understanding is like so much better than it's ever been, and the tools and access is the best it's ever been by magnitudes, by just miles. People are about to get really really fucking good at stuff, better than we've ever been in the entire history of humanity. It sounds very ridiculous. I don't know. I feel like I'm being very grandiose here, but I wholeheartedly believe this. It just adds up. Like there's a reason why athletes are the best they've ever been. Why you have people who are still breaking world records in like speed and stuff. Like the equipment's gotten better and stuff too, but the way we practice, and that's only on the like physiological level. In like sports and competition where people are making more strategic tactical decisions and stuff, I think the brains are getting better too. Um, like I don't think it's a coincidence that tennis's like greatest players of all time all cropped up in the same era. Um, like it is
Mm-hmm.
it's lucky for sure, but I don't think it's a coincidence. Um, it is yeah, but we'll talk about the learning renaissance later. Um, what was I going? Oh, income inequality. Yeah, well, if income inequality grows, I think that's just fundamentally shows that something's wrong in a system. Um, it's just not a good sign. It's a bad sign, and it's been growing for a while now. Um,
Our KPIs are
the
fucked.
KPIs are fucked.
All right. Well, that was a good preview. We'll definitely have to we'll have to discuss
Yeah,
all about the learning
yeah, we
renaissance
can
on the
rip it
next
off. We can
episode.
rip it off the top. Uh, oh, I guess we're doing the IRL episode. Oh, we'll see what we end up doing. We'll just hang out.
Yeah, fair.
But at some
Cool.
point. All right. Well, I think that's everything we have. Thanks for joining us today, listeners. I am so glad to be back to just a normal episode because I
Yeah.
hate dropping old episodes because I'm like just not in it anymore. You know what I mean? We were dropping episodes that
Mm.
were recorded like over a month ago. Um, oh man, we recorded 8 episodes in 3 weeks. I only published 7 of them. One of them I just honestly I just didn't feel like editing it. But it's like an okay episode. I don't think you're missing out on too much. But yeah, that's everything we have for you today. As always, goodbye. No.
Goodbye. No.